Welcome to Coco's crafting table. My name is Rachel. Coco is my cat who is just sitting just here at the moment. There she is. And I'm sure she will put in an appearance when I make videos because she does like to come jumping up on the table. Today I am talking to you from my home in the UK, and I live in an area known as the Midlands, which is right in the middle as it sounds like, and just about as far away from the coast as you can get. And I thought it might be nice to share some of the things that I've been making, because I really enjoy watching YouTube videos with people who are sharing what they've been making, and I thought maybe you might like to see what I've been up to as well. I've got various hobbies. I enjoy knitting, I enjoy crochet. Last year I began to do some embroidery and applique, which I love doing. I like to make music. I'm teaching my granddaughters to play the piano. What else do I do? Oh, dabbling in watercolours and learning to edit videos. So that's a little introduction to me and my cat. And I thought I might divide my video up into sections and start off with knitting. Because you don't know me and haven't seen anything that I've ever made before, and I have not made this jumper, this is a bought one. I'm not into making garments very much, but although I might do in the future. But let's see what I thought I would show you what I've made previously with my knitting, and then you can see what sort of things that you might expect to see in future videos. So I think it was the year before last when I was watching other people's YouTube, and everybody seemed to be knitting the emotional support chicken, and this is my emotional support chicken. I've actually knitted 3 of these in all. 2 of them I've given away, and it's very squishy, but I never know quite what to do with her, so she lives in a cupboard at the moment. So here she is. She might come out a bit more when I can work out quite where to put her. So that's my emotional support chicken. Really easy, really easy. I'd never done short rows before, and it was so easy to find out what to do and how to wrap and turn. I think I had to do in this, and never done that before, but it was very, very easy to do. I can't remember if I knitted the comb or crocheted it in the end, but anyway, it's there and it wasn't difficult. So I've knitted pretty much since I was a child, and I thought I could knit, but it's only since I've been watching videos that I realised all I knew was knit and purl and nothing else. And there's so much more to find out. So I've also knitted, excuse me, a little goose toy that I saw somebody on YouTube, I think it might have been Helen from Helen's Mousy Makes, had knitted this little goose, and so I thought I'd have a go at doing that. So here it is. Now this pattern, actually I'll put details of patterns on the screen, I think, or I don't know how to put patterns below on YouTube yet, so I might find out today, or that might happen in future videos. I think this was May Lily Knitting, the pattern. I think I had to buy the pattern, and I decided I would use Stylecraft Special DK because that's most of what I've got in my stash, and I just used that. It's a sort of a pale purpley colour, and some I think it's probably dandelion for the colour for the beak. So there's my little goose that my granddaughters like to play with when they come. And then last year I decided to set myself a challenge, which was learn how to knit socks. And I've been wanting to knit socks ever since the start of the pandemic, but never got around to it. But last year I decided this is going to be the year of knitting socks. So I did challenge myself to make a pair every month, and I did manage to do that. So I'm very happy with that. And actually I've continued it into this year. So I'm now on my February socks, and I'll show those in a second. Well, I'll show it now actually. That's my first sock. And this is knitted in West Yorkshire Spinners 4-ply sock yarn, their signature sock yarn, 75% wool, 25% nylon. And this is colourway called J-A-Y, as in the bird. I love their bird range. I've used quite a few of those, and I'll show you. And I've started the second sock, and I've only done the cuff. I think I'm ready now to start the leg. I'm using Magic Loop method after having tried many methods, which I can talk about in another video. When I can talk more about my socks. I can show you the socks I made last year if you are interested in another video. So that's like my work in progress to do with knitting. But I've also got one more thing to show you that I made last year, and that was a hat. I decided I wanted to try colour work. I'd never done colour work before, and so I bought a kit from Lucy Locketland, and it's the Curl You hat. And the looking for the person who designed it, Linda Shearer. And I think the pattern came out quite a few years ago now, but it was to raise money for saving the curlew, because they're an endangered bird in this country, I believe. And so my hat's got curlews all the way around it. And there it is. And I'm very happy with that. Took me a while to learn how to wear it, but because it was coming down over my eyes, but I'm not going to put it on at the moment. But I wanted this year to be my year of colour work in knitting, so I can talk more about that another time. So that is my knitting. So now we can talk about my crochet. Can you see Coco? She's still there with her beady eye, keeping watch over what I'm doing. So I really got into crochet in the pandemic. I think I could crochet before the pandemic. I found I'd got a crochet hook, so I must have crocheted. And I have a vague recollection of making a blanket when I was very young with lots of brown yarn, and I really like this blanket, and I don't know why. I don't know who taught me to crochet, but in the pandemic I thought I could crochet. Anyway, turned out I couldn't remember properly how to do it, but it's a long story and I can talk about that another time. But I can show you things that I've made previously in crochet. So I decided to try some Toft. I think it was the year before last, and the first Toft pattern I made was Bow the Dragon. No, this is last year, isn't it? Or is it the year before? I don't know. It was the year of the dragon anyway. I can't remember when it was. And I made Lovely Bow the Dragon, Kerry Lord from Toft designed it, and she put videos up on Instagram. Now, I wasn't on Instagram, so I couldn't access the videos. So I had to open an Instagram account so I could access her videos, because I don't think I would have managed it without. But his eyes have gone a bit wonky, because he's also been living in the bag with the emotional support chicken. Oh, what's happening here? I don't really know. I think he must have got a bit squashed. But anyway, there he is. Poor old thing. And he's got beads underneath. I've never done beaded crochet before, so I thought I'd give that a go. And it worked out very nicely. I made my grandson a dragon, but in different colours, and I didn't put beads on it because I knew he'd want to play with it. So that's my Bow the Dragon. So I was very happy to have managed to make it. And then I saw some other Toft patterns. So the next one I tried was a sheep, Seth the Wensleydale sheep with all his curls. There he is. And then I had bought a whole book of sheep. And then I bought another book of, I've got a few Toft books now. Thought I was going to crochet loads, but I haven't. And this was Emma the Bunny. I think this is one of the first ones. And I did that as well. So and they're all done. This one's done in Starcraft Special DK. This was done with proper Toft yarn, and so was the dragon. But by the time I got onto this, I thought, no, I'm going to use what's in my stash and see how that turns out. And it turned out well. And again, my granddaughters like to play with those. So those are some crochet toys that I made. And my first love was making crochet blankets. And I've got a couple of Janie Crow blankets here that I made with yarn from my stash. This one is Sunshine and Showers with the little flower border. If you're a crocheter, you'll know this one. And the colours will look different because I used what I'd got. And then this one I also made with colours from my stash, and this is the iconic Mystical Lanterns Janie Crow pattern as well. And I was more than happy with the way those came out. I can show my blankets more on another video, but I thought I'll keep this video quite short today if I can, and just introduce you to the sorts of things that I do so that you'll know what to expect. My work in progress currently, my crochet work in progress, is a blanket. I've usually got a blanket on my hook because I quite like something that I can just pick up and do without having to think too hard about it. But this is an Attic 24 blanket designed by Lucy from Attic 24, and again, very well known designer. And this is the one that's at the current cal, although I'm not trying to keep up with it. I'm only on week 3, and I think week 6 has now come out. I'm making a lap size blanket. These are both smaller blankets than the real thing because I've got so many blankets now I can't fit them in. This is a 2-row pattern repeat. I've made it in Starcraft Special DK. Well, most of it is Starcraft Special DK. I'm using yarn from my stash again. What I hadn't got in Starcraft Special DK, I'd got in Wendy Supreme DK. The colours are identical, the yarn feels identical, so you can mix and match. In fact, I've even joined in on one row, and I don't think you could spot it. Started off a row in Starcraft Special, finished the row off in Wendy. It's the same colour, and I can't remember which row it was now, so I don't think anybody would notice. So what I hadn't got, the right colours, I've substituted something as close as I'd got, because I've got quite a few colours left in my stash from various things. So that's my crochet blanket at the moment. I've tried crocheting garments. They never seem to work terribly well for me. I have tried, but I've always tried in acrylic yarn, and of course that's not going to be the best yarn. So watch this space, I may well do a garment at some point. with my crochet. So my next section is going to be about what I've been sewing. I did a lot of embroidery last year. My challenge to myself was to complete 2 pieces of textile art a week, and I was on track for doing that until the end of August, beginning of September, and then it all went to pot, and I could talk about that in another video. However, if you can hear crinkling, it's because the cat's sitting on a plastic folder. I'll show you some of the things I did make last year. And to start with, I've got a kit called the Hen House by Louise Nichols. So I had sent for this kit, and you use the templates and follow the instructions and put the embellishments on, sew it all together. And it's padded, slightly padded, and it's meant to be a wall hanging, and I haven't got around to putting it anywhere yet. I need to work out where to put all these things. And I also bought another one by Louise Nichols called 2 Hares on a Hill, and I made that one. Louise Nichols is a textile artist. She has a YouTube channel and a website and sells lots of kits. I also made a big Christmas panel wall hanging that wasn't quite finished in time for last Christmas, but I did put it up this Christmas, the one that's just gone. And then I bought another kit from Feather Stitch House called Hares in the Moonlight, I think it was. Hares at Dawn. Hares at Dawn, because I've got another one the same with different colours called Hares in the Moonlight. I haven't made it up yet, but this one was Hares at Dawn, which I thought was very pretty. So those weren't part of my challenge, but part of my challenge that I had to do when the videos I was following stopped being released was to make my own version. And I've got one of them. So this was my own design, and it was pumpkins, and it's a little postcard size. So I was making something postcard size every week, following videos from Feather Stitch House, but for some reason she wasn't able to continue making her videos at that point, so I decided to carry on and make my own. So that's my pumpkins one. And it's more simple than the ones we've been doing with the tutor, but I'm happy with my result for that. So that's my pumpkins postcard. What I'm working on at the moment, in an effort to use up some kits that I'd already got, I had invested money about 7 or 8 years ago, I think, or maybe it took 2 years, in a Hachette magazine Peter Rabbit quilt. I had no idea how many it was going to come out, and that's going to be the one I start next. It's Miss Moppet. It has a bit of embroidery on each square and very, very simple embroidery on it. And the one I've just finished yesterday, I think it is the Flopsy Bunnies. But I've done this one slightly different to the first few that I've made. I've appliqued the leaves on instead of doing satin stitch, because my satin stitch is not very neat. And I've also backed it with a fusible lightweight interfacing. Now I don't know if that's a big mistake. In fact, it looks as if it's coming off. I don't know if that was a big mistake to have done that, or if it starts coming off, I don't know whether to just trim it round on the inside, because the first few squares I've made of my quilt I didn't do that, But when we were doing sewing with Feather Stitch House, we were backing everything with fusible fleece. And when I was doing the Louise Nichols one, we were backing everything with a lightweight interfacing. So I kind of mixed things up a bit, so I don't know how it's going to turn out. It's meant to be a quilt when it's finished, but because I'd invested all this money, I've got all the bits and pieces to make it with. I thought I'd pull it out and have a go, because I'd only made 5 squares, so I haven't made many more yet. But anyway, so that's what I'm doing for my sewing at the moment. Now, I haven't really got any watercolour painting to show at the moment, but what I thought might be a nice idea to do is to show you some books that I've got from my crafting books library, which seems to be growing all the time. I think that's another one of my hobbies, is collecting crafting books that I don't always use, but I do like having a little dabble. The picture you can see up there, you can't see very plainly, are some miniatures, or a miniature alphabet that I did last year from tutorials by Harriet De Winton from the De Winton Paper Co. And they were very clear, the tutorials. I can't paint on my own, but if I follow a tutorial and somebody makes a line, that I could pause the tutorial and make a line with my paintbrush. That's it's a bit like painted by numbers, but I'm painting by tutorial at the moment. But Harriet De Winton has got 4 books, and I thought I'd show you what they are. So we've got A Year of Watercolour. I've got Birds, Beasts and Blossoms. I have New Botanical Painting, and I think that might be the order they were released in, I'm not sure. And the latest book I've also got, which is probably the one I should start with, is You Will Be Able to Paint Watercolour by the End of This Book. I would challenge her that I might not by the end of this book. But all the books have got beautiful projects in, and she tells you step by step how to do them. So a lot of them are floral, but not always. New Botanical Painting is going to be full of floral things. So she goes into how to paint leaves, lots of different kinds of ones. This one says create stunning botanical and animal watercolour paintings in a fresh contemporary style. So she's got some animals there. And I just enjoy reading or looking at the pictures and looking at the books. This one is just as beautiful. There's a dandelion. Oh, she's got this one in season, so that was to do with late spring. So this, oh look, a kingfisher. Beautiful. So I think this video is long enough for my first video, my first podcast. So I would like to say thank you very much for watching. If you would like to see more of my crafting, then please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my new little channel. And I hope to see you again at some point. Take care. Bye for now. Bye.